want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right, so that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then, what is this? Says squeeze a quarter-size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And man, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day. Right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you go in between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch, and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels. Wild Tuesday it was, but today is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, year of our Lord. What up, friends? What up, family? And what up, chasers? Special acknowledgement to the chasers. If you are a bag chaser, if you are a Patreon member, I love you. I appreciate you. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Got to acknowledge the people that support the platform. I will be doing that shortly. And just a little bit of housekeeping that we got to get out of the way. First and foremost, thank you to Tiege Hanley for sponsoring what we got going on all platforms and all channels. Make sure you get that Tiege Hanley. I'm going to shoot a new Tiege Hanley commercial this weekend. Look for that. Look for that on Monday. So Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Ladies, get it for the fellas. You know what it is. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you so that you look good. Skin is clear. Don't be dusty in it. Also, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's rant about it. Season 2 premiered yesterday on the Anton Daniels channel. It was lit, if I do not say so myself. And for those of you that tapped in for the premiere or you watched it, then you know that we've made some adjustments. We've made it longer. We've made it more interactive. We brought 2K in. So 2K will be with us, me, Randy Rosario, and all of our friends. So shout out to my dog 2K, rocking out, and we will be going on tour. So the first stop that we will be making is in November. The link is pinned to the top of the chat, as well as in the description. We will be live. I believe it's November 2nd. Let me just double check that. If you go to letsrant.shop, November 2nd in Atlanta. And when you go, and if you decide that you want to come and kick it with your boy, use discount code Anton. Use discount code Anton, and you'll get some dollars. Get your dollars on. You'll get your dollars on as far as getting some money off. So if you want to kick it with me in Atlanta on the 2nd of November during a live taping of Let's Rant About It, we're going to be in Atlanta. And then Detroit, I believe, on the 14th of December. So those are the first 2 stops, and we are going to be rocking. And I think for the bag chasers that decide that they want to be in the building, I think I will be doing a meetup separately from that the day before, the day after. Let me see exactly what day of the week that is. I don't know. They be throwing stuff on my calendar, and I just be like, all right, let's do it. Okay, so that's a Saturday. Let's Rant About It is on a Saturday. I think I'm going to do a meetup maybe on that Friday, or maybe Sunday morning. Maybe we do like a little brunch thing in the morning afterwards. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. So I think we're going to make a whole weekend out of it. So for those of y'all, I will be posting details about it more inside of the Patreon. But if you decide that you want to come and kick it with us in November, use the Let's Rant Anton discount code. It is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. So shout out to the people that's going to be kicking it with me in Atlanta. I see you, K. Cooper. What up? Points. I don't even pay attention to points of view. He just one of them trolls. In addition to that, I heard that it's a lot of people that's copying my style. I was on Fox News yesterday with Laura Ingraham last night, and I hear that it's a lot of people that's basically taking the Millionaire Morning Show format. I can't believe it. What up, Mika? I hear that it is a lot of people that is taking the Anton Daniels format. They even got the thing at the bottom. They want to do the news like me. How come ain't nobody got no level of origination for whatsoever? They don't know me. They ain't never spoke to me. They wasn't a bag chaser. They just took my style and ran with it. Where they do that at? Nah, neither here nor there. And then last but not least, before I acknowledge the super chat and the cash apps, I just want to say that I have a doctor's appointment today. Why is that relevant? It's not relevant at all as far as me, because I go to the doctor at least twice a year. But I want to encourage y'all, especially my men, especially my fellas. I need y'all to get checked up. I need y'all to have regular doctor's appointments. I need y'all to get dentist appointments. I need y'all to make sure that y'all do a regular checkup at least once a year, preferably twice. Go to the dentist twice a year. Listen, especially if you got a job, go and get checked up, leverage your benefits. Somehow, some way, we've developed this thing to where we can live forever without ever making sure that we take care of our health. And so there's no better way than to get full panels, full checkups, make sure you get your blood work done. Do all of that. All right. If you're above, I don't know what the age is, but if you're above the age of, I don't know, like 40 or something like that, then you also got to get that extra little thing. Come on, y'all. Come on. Once a year, at least once a year, preferably twice. For me, I go twice a year just because I want to stay in an optimal peak form. We know that we need to make sure that we're working on our health, that we need to eat cleaner. We need to get in the gym, especially if you're above a certain age like I am. I'm 42 years old. And so I would never advocate for y'all to do anything that I'm not doing myself. And so go get checked up. I got a regular doctor's appointment. I will be going and getting my regular checkup today. I want to encourage you guys to do so. My ladies, go and get that doctor's appointment. What's the point of making all of this money if we're not going to be here to spend it? Right? The best way for you to even find out and live forever is to do preventative maintenance. Don't wait for something to happen to you and to be like, oh my God, nah. We got to take care of it. We got to be on top of it. And I plan on being here for a very long time to spend all of my money. You know what I'm saying? I want to be touring. I want to be taking care of business. Y'all got to leverage y'all health care, y'all benefits, get that best health care. For me, one of the reasons why I like working in corporate America is because I get the best benefit package. You know, I get my Roth 401k that I contribute to and max out every year. Y'all know Patreon members. I make sure I get the best benefits for me and my family. So healthcare coverage is important. And I'll take advantage of it. I leverage it. I get eye appointments. I go and get my eyes checked once a year. I go to the dentist twice a year. I go to the doctor twice a year. And I'm on it. I'm on it. And so, yeah, man, none of us is too cool to go and go to the dentist, to go to the doctor, to go and take care of ourselves. So I just want to encourage y'all to do that. All right, y'all ready to get started with the show? Lock in for the next 2 hours. I promise you I'm going to be getting you through your workday. Shout out to my nurses. Shout out to my truck drivers. Shout out to the work from home people, my tech workers, cybersecurity. Shout out to my Amazon warehouse workers. Shout out to my plant workers, UAW, what up, though? Shout out to hotel workers. Shout out to my overnighters. Shout out to everybody, my stay-at-home moms, my people that's laid off. Your job is coming soon. We gonna get it. We gonna run it up. We gonna make sure we get that bag. Shout out to every single person that's tuned into the Millionaire Morning Show. Shout out to my retired people. Yeah, shout out to my students that's going back to school. Shout out to everybody that got me in their AirPods, AirPod Pros. Shout out to the people that's at the gym right now getting it in. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Let's rock out. So first and foremost, I definitely want to acknowledge all of the super chats and the people that support the platform. Shout out to Alaquandria. Alaquandria says, good morning, Anton. I finally made it back to a morning live. Welcome back. Welcome back. Cartier82 says, Cam will tax us 25% on unrealized gains. Yikes. They got to pay for all of this stuff somehow. Zay says, love the show, but the co-host was making it hard to follow and distracted some viewers. It was like watching an ADHD child in their essence. Some of y'all feel a certain type of way, but we not all for everybody, but we all there. Yoda Fox News interview was fire. Yep, we'll probably talk about that tomorrow. We'll review that. Mr. Joe in the building says, watching live from room 9. Appreciate the content. Shout out to Mr. Joe. I love you, bro. Points of View says, how am I a troll? Because I don't always agree with you. I thought this was an echo chamber. Now, I haven't did anything for that title, Unc. So you can criticize me, but I can't criticize you? Oh, I thought the chat was the co-host. See how I got him? You see how I got him in their feelings? You see how I got him in his emotions? Listen, it ain't an echo chamber because you're not muted. You're not timed out. You're not deleted. But just because you say something don't mean that I can't say something back. Don't get offended. Don't get in your emotions. You remember that? See? Not now he want to feel some type of way because Time Dog said the truth. No, the same way that you disagree with me, I could disagree with you. It ain't an echo chamber. That's why you still able to chat and I'm able to address you the way that I am. Welcome back. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to my co-host, the chat. That is my co-host for the show. Splash Math, it says, if your state overall red and small portion of the county blue, should you convince others to vote? Nope, just be a reflection of it. Be a reflection of it. The best way that you can help other people is to be an example. Let your light shine. And then when they inquire, then that's when you start to give them the game. Never try to convince people, let them find you. You are meant to be discovered. You know what I'm saying? You are meant to be discovered. You are not meant to go out there and try to chase people. I ain't got to chase you. I ain't got to chase you. ESDC in the building. Shout out to ESDC. I appreciate you for the Cash App. Mike that dude. What up, though? Shout out to Mike that dude. Thank you, Mark Robinson. I appreciate you for tapping in with me in the chat. All right, y'all. Y'all ready to get to work? Let's get to work. First things first. We got to get into quick hits. But before we get into quick hits, I want to give y'all a little bit of a preview of what's coming up. So we're going to tap in with Kamala Harris and her National Association of Black Journalists. I want to specifically speak to her point on migrants. I want to play that part. I also want to talk about Diddy and the updates in that case. I want to go into Trump. He jumped on Sean Hannity's show and he spoke about his security and the fact that he's been begging for more security and this assassination attempt should have never happened in the first place. I want to move over to Chicago and talk about that. And something else that I want to talk about. Oh, pager explosions. I'll tell y'all about that soon. But let's go ahead and get into Quick Hits, y'all. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to use each and individual segment on its own, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop of what's happening out here in these streets. So first things first, Oakland is sweeping encampments beneath their freeways and they're trying to clean up the homeless problem. Check it out.
Evening, we start in Oakland, where the city spent the day cleaning up a large encampment under the freeway. Now, our chopper was overhead earlier, where police officers and city crews were on scene with a garbage truck. The focus was on the area around Martin Luther King Way and West.
All right, couple different points before we show this. Number one, I think that the news is crazy outdated. They still using get to the chopper. You don't need choppers. If I'm ever an executive at a news company, if I'm ever an executive at some of these companies, if I'm ever a politician that controls the budget for the city, I am going to clean out everything. You can eliminate the chopper and you can use drones. That's why drones exist. You don't need a helicopter. You don't need to gas it. You don't need to do none of that. You just charge the drone and then you get a drone pilot and then you fly it above it and then you can see all of the things and you can probably see it in a much better view than you can in a helicopter. Why is everything so outdated today? You can use a drone. You don't need helicopters anymore. I would completely eliminate so many different things. Some of these places are so long in tooth and doing the things that they've been doing for such a long time. But anyways, let's continue.
Grand near 980. But tonight, the city council will decide whether to take the drastic step of closing part of 23rd Street between Brush Street and West Street. So that area is just a block away from today's encampment cleanup. The city says the street closure is part of an effort to curb illegal dumping. But Katie Nielsen spoke to some who are worried about the people getting pushed out.
This is the portion of 23rd Street the city is talking about closing for the next 18 months. It's because of all the illegal dumping, and while it's not officially part of the MLK encampment, it sure does look similar with tents lining the sidewalk.
This is straight up a sweep, not a cleanup.
Tina Harvey is talking about what's happening on MLK and West Grand today, where city crews were cleaning up trash from a large encampment area.
There had people here in tents. Where's the tents? Where's the people? So it's more like a sweep than it is a cleanup.
I don't talk to nobody that don't have no front teeth, but got money to get red hair. I'm not negotiating with anybody that don't have no front teeth. In order to be able to debate with me, you got to be able to use your THs. That's just the way that I see things. I have some weird standards in my life, right? And it's not the same standards that everybody else uses because I know that everybody is in their field. If you can't say teeth and you say teeth, if you speak with your lips down instead of your tongue like this, if you can't say teeth, because see, I'm the type of person that'll walk up to you and say, thucker and thuckatash. See, I don't care. You can't say nothing to me unless you can enunciate every single word that's inside of the dictionary. Not saying that you got to know it, because some of us are C students like myself, but you got to be able to enunciate your words. You can't sit here and negotiate and tell me what I'm going to do, because if you ain't got no front teeth, chances are you don't even pay no taxes. If you can't say teeth and you got to say teeth, you can't talk to me, bro.
She used to be unhoused and lived in the Wood Street encampment, but has since been placed in more permanent housing. She's concerned for the folks who are being pushed out of the area because she says many of them have nowhere else to go, like Chantel Banks.
Where are you going to go?
I don't know. I really don't.
According to the city, there are approximately 30 to 40 people who live in the MLK encampment.
I'm just
After
saying.
A recent
Can't nobody say nothing to me that ain't got whatever. Let me focus. Y'all gonna make me start laughing and we gonna get derailed. And you know how we go when we get derailed. It just go all the way into a dark hole.
double murder, plus aggravated assaults, robberies, burglaries, and shootings. The city says it's safer for everyone for the encampment to close.
They don't want to go in for shelter. They just want to be out here doing drugs, tearing up the streets. That's not fair for taxpayers.
Akilah McHenry owns a condo just a few blocks away and says she's been trying to get the city and the police department to do something about the area for more than 2 years.
They always refer you to 211, and 211 refer you to the non-emergency number. It's just a bunch, and then when you call, they say, oh, we already have that site on the radar.
Just a block away on 23rd Street between Brush and West Street, a similar scene.
Look at that.
And this is where the city is talking about.
You look. You can't have that. You can't have that. In no city across the world can you have this. In no city across, there are cities that are much larger than New York, like Tokyo, and they have you see no homeless nowhere. And I'll tell you, as a person that has worked with homeless people for a year straight, every single weekend, I was volunteering my time. Most of these people, they choose to be on the street because they don't want the resource. If you walk up to them and you say, hey, man, we can get you off the street. We got housing for you. We got this, we got that. They'd be like, nah, I'm straight. They don't even want to talk to you. They don't even want to take your, hey, man, here, I got some money for you. You want to? Nah, I'm good. They'll walk away from your donation. Most people, not all, but most people that you approach that you actually want to help, hey, man, I can get you off the streets. I can get you some. Nah, I'm good. They choose. And they find them a little comfy spot, and then it start looking like this. And this is the thing that you got to deal with as taxpayers. Then you start funding the drug use and all of this stuff that's happening in these environments. Is nowhere in the world where this is ever going to be a conducive environment to growth. Nobody that's existing in this environment right here is ever going to say, you know what? I woke up this morning and I decided that I want to pull myself up by my bootstraps. Nope. You got to remove it, and you got to set some standards. And you got to force people to abide by those standards, or they can choose to get out.
About closing the street for 18 months to prevent more illegal dumping.
It sounds like a sweep. Doesn't sound like somebody that's trying to clean it up. I think that I feel like they're just cutting it off not to have to deal with it.
You can't.
Wait, he a pastor? Don't even get me started.
Personally, I feel like they're just cutting it off not to have to deal with it.
Can't drive our vehicles.
But for residents like Akilah, she says it's about time the city took more drastic action to get people off the streets.
There's a lot of shelters with a lot of beds that's available. Let's see how many people will go to beds today.
The city says local businesses are so fed up with the issues, they've actually offered to pay for the barriers to close off this section of 23rd Street. Now, the city.
People is tired of it. Anyways, in addition to that, an 81-year-old woman is randomly punched inside of New York City, and this is happening in a lot of different places in New York.
The attack happening just a few blocks away from Lincoln Center, and that suspect is still on the run tonight. All
right, Fox 5's Duarte Geraldino spoke exclusively with the woman. What did she have to say tonight, Duarte?
Steve, Natasha, that 81-year-old woman told me she feels lucky to still be breathing and walking. When I sat down and spoke with her, she also explained how she has bruises over much of her upper body.
The neck was almost as fat as my face.
Hey, imagine your grandmother, your 81-year-old grandmother, comes back or you go to visit her, and she calls you like, hey, nephew, I had a little incident today, and you walk up and you see her face looking like this. Everybody going down. Everybody going down. Y'all are ungodly. How are y'all walking around punching 81-year-old women randomly in NYC? And then y'all gonna sit here and try to tell me that there ain't demons and devils that's running around in these streets.
My nose is broken. Here, you can see the swollenness here. Can you see?
Look at her
The
neck.
black and blue. Yeah, maybe I'll take my glasses and you can see.
Gwilla has survived heart surgery, a hip replacement, and now a vicious attack.
That's the scary part, in front of my building.
In this surveillance footage obtained exclusively by Fox 5, you see her stop as her dog sniffs a wall. A man dressed in black walks past her. Her back is to him. He turns around, heads towards her, punches her so hard she's knocked off her feet. We intentionally pause the video before the punch lands.
When you knock me, I hit my nose here, and then I fell down.
In the video, you can see her attacker calmly walking off. Her dog tries to comfort her. Passers-by rush to help her. She's laying still on the sidewalk.
You don't look like you were going to get up when I saw that video. But here you are.
Because I didn't want to see the tape. And maybe because I feel so lucky, because he could have had a knife, right?
She suffered a concussion and doesn't remember much of the attack, but it has now been added to a growing pile of NYPD data showing misdemeanor
That's crazy.
assaults up 9% from this time last year and up nearly 15% over the past 2 years. You can hear the stories of women randomly punched on social media.
But wait a minute. I thought that they said crime was down everywhere. I thought crime was down in all the major cities.
Just got punched in the face walking home. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. I can't even talk.
Here's a closer look at Guela's attacker. She wants treatment for him, not jail time.
It was not against me.
No, he got to go to jail for that.
He's sick. Because he did not really rob me, did not take anything. He just really just hit me for no good reason.
She says she knows what her neighbors were thinking when they saw her outside just 3 days after the attack.
Already on the street? Of course I am. You know, I'm not going to hide in my apartment.
And she is in good spirits, but her attacker, he's still out there, and police need...
Now let me jaywalk and throw some gum on the street. Oh, and then last but not least, speaking of New York, they calling for Eric Adams to resign amid all of these probes and the fact that New York City is in shambles.
To this now, new calls for Mayor Adams to step down following the federal investigation into his administration.
All right, Fox 5's Morgan McKay joins us now with more details of the mounting pressure on the mayor. Morgan.
Stephen, Bianca, another lawmaker is now calling on Mayor Eric Adams to resign, but Adams has a message to reporters. He is over answering questions about the more than 4 federal investigations looking into him and his team.
Does the FBI still have your cell phones?
New York City Schools Chancellor David Banks refusing to answer any more questions about the federal investigation targeting him and his 2 brothers, Deputy Mayor Phil Banks and former MTA official Terrence Banks. On Friday, Banks confirmed that his phones were still being held by the FBI, but hasn't given an update since. Mayor Eric Adams appeared with Chancellor Banks for the first time in public since news of the raids were leaked and attended Banks' State of the Schools address. Adams did not speak at the event, however, and snuck out while Banks was still talking. Later, Adams also pushed back on answering any more questions about the growing number of federal investigations looking into him and his team.
We're not going to be distracted, and one of the distractions is answering the same question over and over and over and over again, like you're going to get a different answer. I'm just not going to do that. I got a city to run.
But now a 4th lawmaker, City Councilwoman Alexa Avelas, is calling on Adams to resign. At one point, Adams was asked if he understands that it's not just reporters who want to know more about these investigations.
No, I don't understand. Because if they had that same level of concern, then I would see it when I'm in the public with all of the town halls.
Adams also pushed back on reports that his legal advisor, Lisa Zornberg, resigned over the weekend because he would not take her advice and fire some of his aides involved in these federal investigations. This includes one of his top aides, Tim Pearson, who is also separately facing numerous sexual misconduct lawsuits. However, the two have deep ties. Pearson was Adams' commanding officer when they worked for the NYPD and have long been friends. When asked about his loyalty to Pearson, Adams defended Pearson's reputation.
And I saw it in my career in law enforcement. There are lawsuits leveled against people often, from police officers. I saw what happened to Yusef Salaam. I saw what happens to others. Let the process take its course.
Well, one of the reasons that he's saying this is because Eric Adams is also being sued himself under that New York thing where they allow for women, the same thing that they got Diddy for, that Cassie had filed the lawsuit for. Well, it was a woman that basically came forward. I don't believe her. I think that she was probably lying. That basically came forward and was accusing him in a lawsuit. So he was one of the people that's being swept up in it. Us as a people, we usually forget about it because we just let people continue to rock. But yeah, man, he got a lot going on. So I don't think that he's ever going to resign. Usually you don't see black people resign. Tiffany Henyard, Eric Adams, black people don't resign. They be like, listen, I need my money and we need our paycheck. And until I get another job, I'm just going to be here. So you just going to have to deal with it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right, let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. I'm going to give y'all the latest update on Diddy. If this unrealized tax goes through, the stock market will crash harder than 2008. Well, I don't think she's going to win anyway, so it doesn't even really matter. T. Lawrence says, always on point. Thank you, T. Lawrence. Sportsaholic is in the building, says, Les Rantabout was fired, so I had to drop a like, but why did the loud, ignorant chick have control of the mic? Well, you talking about Randy? It's her show. All right, so listen, let me give y'all a little bit of insight. This is Randy's show. I am just a part of it. I am a participant in it. I am a producer of it. Whatever it is that you want to frame it as, but I am just the co-host. That is not my show. Just like Q's show on Monday, that is Q's show. That is not my show. Let's Rant About It is Randy's show. I am a supportive figure in the show, and I am a participant in what goes on the show. Randy is the one that selects the people. Randy is the one that recruit people. Randy is the one that got all of that together. That is all Randy. I am just a support and a help in producing this. The same way that Q. I don't know who's going to be on the panel on Monday nights. I show up, I participate, I deploy it, I make sure that certain things go the way that it's supposed to go. I play my role. I empower my ladies to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. One thing that you will find about me, one thing that y'all will find about me is that I am never going to be restrictive to the creative process of whoever it is that's around me. I am a mentor. I am not a dictator when it comes to forcing people to do anything. I make sure that I empower people and then they make the adjustments based off of their own experiences or the feedback. So if Randy is reading the feedback, if Randy is hearing this from y'all, then y'all let her know. Go and talk to her. I am just a supportive figure that kind of oversees some things, but that's it. I help people, I empower them, and I let them be them. You will never, ever see me as one of those overbearing, micromanaging type of people. I give advice, I help people, I empower them, but this is her thing. This is her baby. This is her thing. I am going to be a supportive person in it. I am a co-host. I am a producer. But this is not my idea. This is her baby from inception. And so I'm just helping her put it forward and push it through. And I think it's a phenomenal product. So that's what I do. All right. Hold on. Somebody said, hold on, let me see something really quickly. All right. So let's continue on. Sportsaholic, thank you. I appreciate you, big dog. High Tolerance says, crazy business capturing a drone shot of Bernard on the back street working at no teeth equal no taxes. And with an F, teeth. Melvin Johnson says, maybe she pulled herself up by her teeth. Liker Candy says, you made me so proud to see you on Fox News speaking on our views. That's my second time, Fly Girl. Thank you, baby. Thank you. I appreciate you. J Ben says treatment is subjective. We're the crash out boys. Never there when you need them. Crash out boys only crash out against their own people. They don't crash out in favor of anything. They're not battling migrants or nothing like that. They just gonna crash out on you. You know what I'm saying? Scooby Don says another Adams top NYPD brass resigned yesterday. Shout out to them. Turtle says might invest in a switch if an illegal commit a crime on my fam. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel you. Anyways, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let's get to the show. So, Diddy, held without bail. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. This is the latest updates.
Hey, I'm Hallie, and tonight we are learning in just the last few minutes that a federal judge is now refusing to grant Sean Diddy Combs bail. Instead, he's going straight to jail tonight after Diddy pleaded not guilty to charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Want to show you some of these brand new court sketches coming into us, like literally in the last 90 seconds. This is Combs in court after prosecutors arrested him at a hotel in Manhattan. It's where he's apparently been living for weeks, according to what a person familiar with the move tells NBC News. All of it A tipping point now in that sprawling federal investigation into the superstar's alleged years of sex crimes dating back to 2009. As we're just getting in some new and deeply disturbing details about the allegations against him in what looks like a massive criminal operation, allegedly. At least 50 victims and witnesses so far. And at the center of it, these hours and days-long sex acts known as, in their words, freak-offs that Combs supposedly orchestrated to abuse his victims.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
He was a director. Y'all got to remember, man. Hold on. Let me say something before we get into the show. He was a director. Baby oil, freak-offs. We didn't even know what the term freak-off meant until Cassie put it in her lawsuit. Fellas. Can I have a conversation with my guys real quick? Do y'all realize that this all started off with his obsession with a woman that was introduced to him by Ryan Leslie? Not saying that Diddy wasn't always a freak, but I'm talking about his exposure. Him being exposed. The seed is planted in a pretty-faced girl with good hair that's singing Me and You. Or less. Do you see why you have to be careful who you let into your space? Because it then can get you locked up, possibly for the rest of your life, with trafficking charges. It could cost you everything that you've ever built. A small seed there, a small seed there, you associate yourself with this girl. The very thing that you think that you controlling is going to come back to bite you and break you. It's going to ruin your life. The very thing that you think that you controlling is going to expose your insecurities, your problems, your troubles, your demons, and the fact that you never focused on built. I tell y'all all the time, focus on character. Build yourself up. Go into your prayer closet. Ask God to show you what your flaws are. Fix that so that when you finally become successful, you're not a crash dummy. And his obsession with a woman now got all of his personal business being exposed. Lose everything. You were sitting on top of the world. You had the key to the city and you losing everything. Just like that. Just like that.
And he often electronically recorded them.
Prosecutors say Combs punched and kicked his victims to try to keep them under control. He'd also, they say, filled them up with drugs like ketamine and ecstasy for long periods of times, even using incriminating records to try to manipulate his victims. Prosecutors say they discovered this wide range of evidence against Combs in several raids. They found things, they say, like AR-15s, narcotics, more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant.
Of all of the things that they found inside of the house, you know what everybody talking about? 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Of all of the things, when HSI went in there with an army of agents that got HSI on the back of their shirts, you know what everybody was focused on? Not the guns, registered or not. Not the drugs, whether you was taking them or not. You know what they was focused on? Why you putting all that baby oil on, dog? Why you so greasy? People are focused on the baby oil. That's what they want to know about.
We should note here that an attorney for Combs says that he, I'm quoting here, will fight this with all of his energy. His team is already planning to appeal the bail ruling, meaning they will be back in court tomorrow, as Combs has, as we mentioned, pleaded not guilty. We've got team coverage, Laura Jarrett, standing by with the legal analysis piece of it. But I want to start outside court with Julia Ainsley, because, Julia, this went fairly late into the day. I know you've been at the courthouse as a judge, as we've just learned, is denying this request for bail. Explain why that is and what else we've learned today.
Yeah, that's right. We were in there for about 2 hours as the Justice Department from the Southern District of New York laid out their case, very similar to what you saw in the indictment, saying why he should not be released, because they say that he is a flight risk, he could leave the country, and also that he has a history of obstructing justice.
That's why Russell Simmons won't come back to the United States of America. Low key. That's why Russell Simmons is over in where he at? Indonesia or something, acting like he practicing Buddhism. Russell Simmons won't even step foot in the United States of America. He ain't going to the Def Jam, the 50-year worth of hip hop. He ain't coming to salute LL on his new album. Russell Simmons said, I got a good internet connection. Hey, any of my daughters need anything? I'll send y'all a little bit of money here and there. Okay, they took all of my money. I'm broke over here. Listen, rush cards. We got rush cards galore. Russell Simmons won't step foot. And he keep on giving his little old opinion from over there somewhere in Bali. I think he in Bali. Russell Simmons won't step foot in the United States of America. No way, no how. Russell said, I got foresight. I can see what they about to do to Diddy. Watch, I told you, Diddy. He won't step foot. He went to a country where you ain't extraditing back out to the United States of America. He gonna die over there. He gonna die over there. Talking about I'm building hotels. Yeah, okay. I'm doing yoga. Russell ain't coming back to the U.S. ever. And I would think that a lot of people have been getting their affairs in order to go ahead and catch that flight. Ain't trying to be over here hanging out. Ain't trying to be over here like Diddy.
Has pointed to how serious these crimes were, that with previous allegations of sex trafficking like R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein, the judges also denied bail in that case. But his defense laid out a very lengthy rebuttal to all of that. We heard them say that this is different from Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly because there are no minors being alleged in the indictment here. They also say that these acts were consensual, and they point to victim number one, who's named over and over again, who they say is someone was in a 10-year relationship with Combs that was toxic but consensual. They said that this person actually tried to sell this same story as book rights to Combs to try to get it out of the media's eye, but instead when he refused, then this civil lawsuit came up. But the judge ultimately said that he could not be released because he is a danger, he has a history of substance abuse and anger issues, and she really drilled down on the fact that after those civil allegations came out last November, he talked to multiple women who he knew during that period and who he apparently tried to change their narrative so they wouldn't go forward and continue testifying or being witnesses to some of these acts that were alleged in the civil complaint and then were again put in the indictment today. And so she said in order to keep that from happening and really to end sex trafficking, since that can happen behind closed doors, it was best to keep him.
Hold on. Before we continue with this, I need y'all to get the likes up. Please and thank you. You know, I know some of y'all may not be bag chasers. Bag chasers, y'all already should know better. Some of y'all may not be bag chasers. Others of y'all are. And so it should go without saying that we need to make sure we get the likes up. Let's rock.
Detained without bond.
Julia, it
Alan,
is,
I'm going to address your
for a lot
super
of
chat
folks,
shortly.
they will find this stunning considering that Diddy, right, Sean Combs, has been previously one of the most successful music superstars in the world. Just a year ago, he was handed a key to New York City. Now here we are, after months of this being out in the public, these allegations being made public, his denials. He's potentially facing 15 years to life in prison. What does the timeline look like here?
Well, we understand that tomorrow they'll try to appeal the judge's decision. His defense will do that tomorrow at 3:30. They'll meet again next week for a conference, and then perhaps we'll be looking at a trial early next year. But Hallie, I have to say what you said there was also striking. I mean, I watched him today sitting there very humbly in court in a black T-shirt, nodding along with his defense, otherwise just looking very stoic, straight ahead at the judge. It's hard to imagine this is the same man, but the timeline is also staggering. It's one thing to think, oh, that was something that happened a long time ago. But the prosecution today said that these acts, what they're calling sex trafficking and coercion, all continued up until this year, Hallie, and started as far back as 2009. So this was not a brief window.
Julia Ainsley live for us there outside court in New York. Can you just give a sense really quickly, Julia, before I let you go? Is it just a scene there? I mean, I have to imagine, given who Sean Combs is, it is just a crush of cameras, a crush of people.
It is. It's been really crowded today, and there have been people who've been driving by, sometimes screaming, "Free Diddy." So,
free Diddy. All right, so look, we're going to switch over to his lawyer, and then I'm going to address your super chats because I see some people want to agree and go against Tom Dog. We will address that. This is Diddy's lawyer, addressing his arrest with CNN.
What prosecutors are arguing is not only does your client pose a flight risk, because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago. They were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them. And so I guess the question is, how do you assure the court that that won't happen if prosecutors are saying this is someone who's attempted to bribe security staff and has already threatened and interfered with witnesses?
So I think the most important thing, even more important than the passport, is that Mr. Combs came to New York on September 5th. As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself. I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is? If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you where he is. But he wants to surrender. He's here to surrender. They didn't want him to surrender because if he surrenders, they don't get to tell the judge that he's a flight risk and he's a danger. Because who, as a danger and a flight risk, would fly to New York and surrender? So they didn't want him to surrender.
So since September 5th, you had known, you expected it was likely he was going to formally face charges.
So I really knew he was formally going to face charges on March 25th, the day of the searches. When Homeland Security searched his Los Angeles home, his Miami home, and his airplane, I knew that day by looking at the search warrants. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. This is not my first or 100th rodeo, that this was going to come as a matter of time. What I realized in early September is that it was coming soon. And so it was time for Mr. Combs to come to New York, which he did. And let me just point out one very important thing. The prosecutors are seizing on something that happened 8 years ago. You know, this video that we've all seen, and it's a bad video for Mr. Combs, and he said so himself when he gave his apology. This is 8 years ago, and the prosecutors are talking about him bribing a hotel security worker. There was no criminal investigation. This was just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship. That was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so. And this whole notion that Mr. Combs is forcing drugs on someone is just nonsensical, and it's going to prove to not be true.
Well, on that video, he initially denied the allegations when his then girlfriend, who is in that video, filed a lawsuit last fall. And we have that video. I should note CNN was the first outlet to exclusively report on it. He denied that happened when she filed.
That video was insane. Let me go ahead and fast forward past that part. I don't even want to show that part.
Sex crimes. I mean, because at the end of the day, the gravamen of that civil complaint wasn't a misdemeanor assault, which is what you see on that video. Not minimizing it, but it's a misdemeanor assault. What the gravamen of the complaint was sex crimes, and he denied that, and he still does.
Well, and you're saying that this is all just about that one relationship, but when you read through the indictment, they say that there's not just one victim. They say there's multiple victims here today. And what I heard described was they said they have 50 witnesses or victims.
Yeah, I think it's 49 witnesses and one victim. I think if you broke it down, and I say that because count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, has victim number 1, and there is no victim number 2 anywhere in the indictment.
So you're saying that there are not other women, because what they were essentially arguing here is that he coerced and forced women into sex acts by using physical force, financial pressure, emotional abuse, and narcotics for what they described as these freak-off sessions. They're saying that he self-described them as that.
Yeah, there's one victim in the indictment. That the charging document.
One victim does count, right?
No, of course, but it's not 50. I mean, what they did, and it's a little too cute, is it's 50 witnesses or victims. Well, it's one victim. That's all that's in the indictment.
Our reporter,
which is the person that they have in the video, Cassie,
who was in the courtroom today, said that he appeared to have a stunned expression on his face. Was he surprised that he was arrested last night?
No, he definitely was not. I mean, I told him myself in early September, you are going to be arrested soon, and you're going to be charged with racketeering, and you're going to be charged with sex trafficking. So come to New York. It wasn't a long conversation. He agreed. So we knew this was coming. And in fact, we offered that he would turn himself in.
So if there are these witnesses and victims, and as you're saying that you believe it's one victim and 49 witnesses who saw this behavior, that's pretty powerful, though, to have that many people who have if they go to court and argue that they witnessed this behavior by your client?
Well,
what's your defense against that going to be?
So my defense is very well established. I interviewed myself the different men who were being brought sort of into Mr. Combs and this person's intimate situation. I've flown around the
Let's continue, y'all.
country. I've interviewed a large number of them. There's not the slightest inkling, according to the interviews
I see
that
you,
I've
Quinn.
done,
I'm gonna address
of
the
anything
super
that's
chat shortly.
coercive, non-consensual. Nobody was too drunk. Nobody was too high. These were adults in a relation. This is a 10-year relationship. We can't forget that. This is a 10-year relationship.
all Cassie.
And it was adults and consensual, and everybody who was there wanted to be there. So I feel very confident in our position.
You said you interviewed the men, but what about the women?
I haven't interviewed the woman. The woman's not available to me. She's presumably a grand jury witness, and we would not. We cannot try to interview a grand jury witness.
Listen, we all know who the one victim is, and we all know who the people. Gene Deal probably is one of the. I think that Gene Deal is a POS personally. That's just me. I think that Gene Deal is a POS. But we all know who the witnesses are, and we all know who the people are. All right, this is not new. This is not new news, any of that. We know who the person is a person that they got video footage of, that once CNN released the footage, that Diddy was going to be arrested, that it was all going to go downhill from there, all right? Here's the part where I have a problem with, because I believe, this is my opinion, and I'm going to read y'all super chat shortly, I personally believe that all of these people that are coming out against him are either one of two people. Either first, they are out there for the money grab, or number two, they don't want to be implicated along with them. Managers, security guards, people that was a part of the freak-offs, whoever it was, it's easy to convince somebody to testify against somebody else when they start looking at the facts that they got trafficking charges on them. Oh, okay. Well, listen, you might be an accomplice. You might definitely catch these charges too. You're going to catch this L too. But you know what the difference is? You ain't got Diddy money. You ain't got Diddy money. And so what do? They start squealing. Even though they was a part of the freak-offs, even though they was a part of the freak-offs, then they start telling and they start snitching. That's what happens. Oh man, I think that every last one of them people is going to tell, they're going to snitch, they're going to say whatever it is that need to be said in order to get themselves out of the situation. That's just the facts.
And you don't think that there are any other women who are going to say that they were coerced into this, given drugs, and essentially as prosecutors were saying that that's what kept them compliant?
So there are a lot of women in these civil cases. There's been a mountain of civil cases ever since the civil case that was filed in November. I don't see them as victims in the indictment. That's my point.
And so when you talk about that video of Cassie Ventura, that was his then girlfriend, in the video, I mean, just when you saw that, you said it's a bad video. It's pretty difficult to watch.
It is, no question. So let me tell you what happened.
Will that be
a hotel? It was just the two of them in a hotel room. She found out that he was seeing someone else. She was going through his phone. She hit him in the head with.
Oh, talk about a lawyer. We getting the tea. All right. Hold on. Let me back up for a minute.
So what I said in court today, and I'll say it again here, is the two of them were in a hotel. It was just the two of them in a hotel room. She found out that he was seeing someone else. She was going through his phone. She hit him in the head with his own phone. And then she walks into the hallway with two bags. One of the bags has all of his clothing taken from him, which is why he runs out in a towel. So this isn't her fleeing from one of these freak-offs. Why would she take his clothing? That's not what it is. And when the evidence comes out, this is going to be completely different than the government's portrayed it.
But on this video,
let's break that down for a second. Was him putting his hands on her good? No, it was absolutely horrible, demonic. It should have never happened whatsoever. But what the lawyer is saying is, listen, wasn't nobody else there but them. She went through his phone, found out that he had some separate hoes aside from her. This is what the lawyer's saying. Don't sit there and try to get mad at me for repeating and putting it in student language and perspective. She found out that it was another chick. She hit him in the head, grabbed his clothes, and that's why he was running out with socks and only a That's why he was running out with a towel and only some socks on. This is what the lawyer said. This is what the lawyer said. All right. All I'm doing is just breaking it down to see student perspective.
And I just want to show that again now. How do you defend against allegations that he hit?
Nah, I don't want to see that again.
As prosecutors allege, to keep these women in his fold. Maybe just Cassie Ventura, but keeping these women in the fold.
Cassie Ventura lived by herself. She had her own house. She had a family. She had a career. And he was seeing another woman at the time. He wasn't around a lot. She could have done whatever she wanted to do. All of these allegations of, I was forced, I was coerced, I had to stay, are nonsense. And it's going to be proven to be so.
That video.
April Williams, you so bitter. April, you so mad. You so mad that we getting another view to the story and ain't nobody siding with nobody. We just saying that the plot thickens. Why do women get so emotional? Why do women and feminine men get so emotional when we start to get more context to the conversation? Okay, we always have said that it's her side, it's his side, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. So now y'all feeling some type of way because we get more context than just what their lawsuit is saying. It's her side, it's his side, and then it's the truth. I don't side with anybody except objectively trying to figure out where the truth is and where it comes back down to the money. Don't feel no type of way because I'm reviewing what the lawyer said. The lawyer said it. So you getting mad at me because the lawyer is saying that it's another side to the story?
In the indictment, it alleges that your client paid hotel staff $50,000 to make it disappear from the hotel surveillance system. Did he pay off the hotel staff?
Not that I know of. I know that's an allegation. I don't know that is true. What I was concerned about when I heard about this allegation is whether there was an allegation that there was some sort of law enforcement investigation pending, because then that would be a crime. But there was none. And so this is not a crime.
You said you're portraying this as adults who were at these events that wanted to be, I shouldn't even call them events. That's not certainly how anyone else would label it, but that they wanted to be there. But they also allege that.
And secondly, y'all got to also understand and see, this is why it's difficult to talk to people. When I talk to people in real life, the first thing I do is I say, calm down, get out of your emotions, and let's start looking at the facts. Calm down, get out of your emotions, and let's start looking at the facts. What we do know for a fact is that Cassie was not only suing Diddy, it was more or less other people that was named in that lawsuit, including the record label, the bigger record labels, UMG, all of these other people and all of these other enterprises that were involved in the lawsuit. And then we also know that these places were insured. And so how do we know that Diddy alone was the person that settled the lawsuit? How do we know that it wasn't other people and other entities and other companies that was named as a part of it that was tied to him that said, let's settle this. We don't want to hear anything about it because we haven't heard anything about why he decided to do it in the first place. But when you're emotional, you just jump off the, oh my God. No. If we put our thinking caps on, and this is why men don't have the luxury of being able to make an emotional decision, because when women jump off the bridge and they just, oh my, then why did he settle? And only feminine men and women make emotional decisions. You sit there, you calm down, you think for a minute, and you start replaying all of the things in your head. You sleep on it to make sure that you're operating with a clear perspective, and then you make an informed decision. I don't just jump off the bridge just because y'all do it, because it's the popular thing to do.
They were recorded and essentially used as blackmail. Is that not true?
That's not true. That's not true.
How can you prove that when they have electronic evidence that, as they argue, over 90 cell phones, laptops, iCloud storage accounts, 30 electronic and storage devices, hard drives, thumb drives?
Yeah.
You're not worried about that?
No, because if they had it, they would have put it in the indictment. And it's not in the indictment.
When it comes to your client's credibility, I think people will look at what he said last fall. And it's not just his attorneys. I mean, he pays those attorneys. They're speaking on his behalf. They're the ones calling her claims baseless and ridiculous.
Look
when
at
you
April.
read the indictment
April,
today,
so
they line up with what...
April, you just need a good man to cover you and guide you. That's all. You just need a good man to cover you and guide you. All of them emotions, we put that away. Hey, baby, come on. Chill out. Chill out for a second. Chill out. Because you about to haul off and do something you ain't supposed to do. Just chill out. This is why women need men to cover them.
What she alleged in that lawsuit last fall.
If the claim is that he had unwanted sex with her, that claim is baseless. And it will be proven to be baseless when we have a trial.
But the claim is obviously the conspiracy, the racketeering. It's much larger than just that, obviously, as you know.
It is, but the government wants it to be. But count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, relates to one person. And
again, I think that we have to make sure that we remove our emotions so that we can come to a logical conclusion, and we don't get emotional. We don't get emotional. We make logical decisions. Now, again, for the people in the back, it's unfortunate that I even have to preface this by saying, I am not a Diddy supporter. You have never, I don't think, only album I think I got a Diddy's is No Way Out. Oh no, that Diddy Dirty Money album was slick. It was hit. I'm coming home. I'm coming. If y'all can listen to R. Kelly, Diddy was dealing with grown people that decided to beat her. If y'all, cause I pulled up next to a chick the other day. You know what I heard? It's a remix to Ignition. Hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in there wishing. She was like, bounce, 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 bounce. Black woman, bounce, bounce. Her and her homegirl was in the car. It's a remix to it. Oh, yeah. Got every and sipping on coking. I'm like, so what? It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me. If you telling me that they can listen to the remix of Ignition, but I can't listen to I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming. I'm back where I belong. I never felt so strong. And if you telling me that y'all can sit there and talk about it's the remix to it, TP2.com, but I can't sit here and listen to I'm coming home, y'all just some hypocrites. Y'all just some hypocrites. Y'all just some every time that song come on, people, all of the women ran to the dance floor. Bounce, 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 bounce. No, I'm not going for it. You're not going to sit here and try to hold me accountable for something that somebody else did. Nope. Mars says when Trump came to the National Association of Black Journalists, he got three attacked masculine women. Kamala got 2 effeminate men. She wondered why black men. We're going to get into that next. How about we get into that next? I'm with you. Shout out to Quentin. Quentin was on one last night. Quentin, shout out to my dog, says, Judge, Joe Brown said he was held to silence him. No calls in and out. Let's be honest. Are we really shocked with Diddy? What in the world TV says he going to look like Uncle Ben soon? Mr. Lot says, when you see something ill, that's whoa. 1,000 bottles of Slippin' Glad, that's whoa. Shout out to Black Rob. Rest in peace to Black Rob. B Sharp says, who had to go walk for those 1,000 bottles? That's worse. He probably had them delivered. Amazon Prime. Free delivery. Alan Trent Alan Trent says, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a moment where you were really, really defending Diddy. And now you got jokes. The F? You wrong for that. Keep supporting him the way that you did before. I'm sorry, did the smoke ever clear? Do I got a different perspective or something like that? I still think that the majority of the people that are accusing him of doing some of the things to them are liars. Liars. Listen, Alan, I don't know if you was raised by a single mother, but I need you to get out of your emotions. First and foremost, we reserve the right to change our mind when new evidence is presented. And so based off of the CNN video, we condemned it. Okay, Diddy is a bad guy, Diddy is a monster, and we don't agree with freak-offs. And I still think the majority of these women is lying, and I still think that it's a cash grab. And I still, by default, unless proving with evidence, I, by default, don't believe anybody, especially women, when they falsely accuse men. And I ain't talking about Diddy, I'm talking about all people. I don't, by default, just take anybody's word for granted. I want to see more about it. I want to see the evidence before I just automatically convict somebody, because my goal is to make sure that everybody gets a fair trial and not is convicted in a court of public opinion. Get that little chick up out of you, bro. Get out of your emotions. Put your big boy pants on. Ain't nothing changed with me. I'm still the same. I ain't never changed. What you think, that I'm on your side? I don't give a fuck about what you say. D Good says, Anton, I was already in the process of being disciplined, man, before I discovered you, but I have to say that you have been an important influence in my life as a man. Keep blessing us, bro. Shout out to the new chasers. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Mars says, wait, Cassie sued because she wanted to write a book? She wanted some money. I think that the money was running low. Quinn says, Diddy was in a country with no extradition laws. He came back specifically to address these charges. Also, HSI only prosecutes international crimes. Shout out to Quentin. He also says, Cassie video was a state crime, nothing the HSI would prosecute. Also goes on to say, this indictment is too big to only have one defendant. Most of the witnesses were actively participating in said crimes. Talk to him, Quentin. Quentin is cooking today. Did Diddy really need a girl to ride? Big Money Trucker says, big homie, stay neutral covering the Diddy story. I'm not saying that you are, but it looks like you're favoring Diddy. Stick to the facts on this one. No. When have I ever just stuck to the facts? I'm going to give my opinion. Listen, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. You know why? Because there are a lot of people that think the same thing that I'm thinking. And even if it isn't, and if I'm the only person that's saying it, I'm saying it because this is what I'm thinking. Listen, you're never going to tell me what to do. Nobody can control me. I am going to give my opinion every single time. No. If you want to just look at the news, every piece of news is slanted. CNN is slanted liberal. Fox News is slanted more conservative. Everybody is slanted because we all people and we all think something. You just don't agree with my opinion, and that's cool. And that's why I tell people to let people rock, and I don't want to be in an echo chamber, but I'm not going to say what you want me to think just because you think it. Why y'all hating on Diddy in the chat? Quentin Spivey says, Anton, you heard about the 1,000 bottles of baby? Yeah, I heard about it. Smooth Artist says he was using baby oil for his car. Talk about it. He was trying to get slick. Duran Lee says, will they be able to use Diddy lyrics against him in his case? Take that, and can't stop, won't stop. Who knows? Carlos Cruz says, I want to know who Diddy pissed off. Diageo. Chase Barnes says, do we ever think that Diddy had a secret endorsement with Johnson? Can't Knock the Hustle. Shout out to my dog, Can't Knock the Hustle. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, but I just don't care about what y'all think, and I don't agree with y'all. But y'all still my girls, and y'all still my boys. Y'all still my homies. I don't care about what y'all think. I'm just going to say what I want to say. Eric, shout out to Eric. One more super chat before we go over to the next part of the story. They were all grown and knew what. That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I said. It is what it is. All right, y'all, let's keep it moving. Kamala Harris pulled up on the National Association of Black Journalists, and it was a disaster of an interview, but we don't want to go through the whole 40-something minute interview. I'm going to just give y'all a quick summary. I want to go over to a specific part. Let's see if we can find it really quickly.
Intergenerational, and is just slaughtered. Young people who were attending a concert, women were horribly raped.
Self-determination. And is it even possible as Israel's ally?
Well, absolutely.
Of Israel.
We need to get this deal done, and we need to get it done immediately, and that is my position. And
it wasn't enough that this administration, your possible administration, has to do more.
Well, we are.
Action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, that's the reparations debate. We don't want to talk about that yet. I'm going to save that one.
Our, so-called Delta here in terms of
Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids.
All right, so let me set this up for y'all. I don't want to spend no more than about 10, 12 minutes on this, but I'm going to set this up for y'all really quickly. So obviously Kamala Harris pulled up months after Trump was basically lambasted at the National Association of Black Journalists. I wonder if we got a National Association of White Journalists. Neither here nor there. She pulls up for an interview, disaster of an interview, talked about multiple different things, which she had word salad. But I want to talk about this one thing in particular because this is a popular issue, and it's the migrant crisis in Springfield, Ohio. We've never heard her say Laken Riley's name. We've never heard her address Springfield, Ohio. We've never seen her address what happens in Denver, Aurora, Chicago, New York, Houston, Los Angeles, and then now spreading out across America. So we've never heard her address the migrant crisis at all because I believe that she played a role, and as the borders are, played a role in keeping the borders open in order to have unprecedented access to migrants flowing into this country illegally, right? So the journalist with the afro is going to ask a question. He got an afro. He got 2 bracelets on. He's going to ask a question to Kamala Harris about the Springfield, Ohio situation and the Haitian migrant situation, and she's going to answer the question. All right, let's rock.
Leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Was she confused at the question? She didn't understand what the question was?
well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day. You remember what that's like?
Let me play for y'all her response again, for those that's in the back, okay?
Photo day. It was school photo day. You remember what that's like? It was school photo day. You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day?
Give me a second, y'all. Just bear with me. This is hard for me. This is hard for me to really, and I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to see what the appeal is. I'm trying to capture it. I'm trying to understand. What do we see? Why they still voting for? What do you see in her?
Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children. A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned a long time ago in my career, having a background as a prosecutor, when you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level.
Let me, it's over 4,000 people in here. A couple different things that I want to get into before we really address this, all right? First thing that I want y'all to do is the likes is really low. It's over 4,100 people in here on YouTube alone. The likes is really low. Get the likes up. That's number one. Number two, just want to remind my moderators, shout out to all of my great mods. Shout out to Yakara. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. We don't operate in an echo chamber, so we may have differences of opinion. Some people going to disagree with me. Some people going to agree with me. And I'm not saying that anybody has been timed out or anything like that. But as long as nobody is getting overly disrespectful, talking about somebody's mama or grandkids or something like that. Anybody that disagrees, anybody got the difference of opinion, even if they passionate about it, don't time them out. Don't silence them. Let them get it off. We welcome differences of opinions over here. So if you love Kamala, say that. If you don't, say that. Chat is an extension of the show. This woman is miserable. With that being said, she's absolutely miserable. Let me get her full response, and then we're going to come back.
How much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage of my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big,
it's only 1,600, almost 1,700 likes. We need to get the likes up, y'all.
there is a profound responsibility that comes with that. That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust. To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust.
What? What is she talking about? Listen to what she's saying, y'all.
Trust means. It means that then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust.
How are y'all voting for this woman? Why is she even being a consideration? How is it? It must be a bunch of fairies out there. Gotta be a bunch of fairies, a bunch of fraud. I don't want no election interference that's happening out here. No way that y'all sitting here listening to this woman. The question is with regard to Springfield, Ohio, and everything that's happening over there with the migrant crisis. The question is, why did you open up the borders in the first place? How did they get there? How did they decide to travel to Springfield, Ohio? How did 20,000 of them get there in less than a year? And then they registered for school. They got driver's license. They got clothes, shoes, started businesses. Where did they get the money from if they coming from a war-torn country where barbecue was basically thrown? How did they start to get a leg up so fast? That's the question that we want to know. I don't care about picture day. I don't care about do you know what public trust means? It means that they've invested in you with trust. I don't care. I don't care. I want somebody to ask the question. Please, anybody, somebody, if you get a microphone, ask the question. Ask the question. How did they get here? Why did y'all leave the borders open in the first place? Before 2023 and 2022 and 2021, when we were supposed to be in a pandemic, how did they get over here? How? Somebody ask the question. Anybody, somebody. If you get a microphone, anybody that's watching this, if you get a microphone and you got an opportunity to ask a question, ask it, please, just for me. Just ask the question. Don't let her pander.
To be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself. And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America.
Jesus Christ.
And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally. What's happening to those families, those children in that community, not to mention what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources.
What?
Being put
You the
into
president.
this-
You the vice president. Y'all advocated for defunding the police. I don't know if she remembers that she and Biden is in office right now. They've been in office for the last 3.5 years. What the fuck? What are we talking about? Dog, there is a... Oh my God. Give me a second. This is insane. Give me a second. I'm so disappointed with us. I gotta find an actual letter. Let me let her do her thing.
because of these serious threats that are being issued against a community that is living a productive, good life before this happened. And spewing lies that are grounded in tropes that are age old. And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is
City and County of Denver, October 28th, 2023. To the Honorable Joseph Biden and the White House. Dear Biden, thank you for your ongoing work and partnership regarding immigrants entering the United States via the southwest border. This is not my opinion. These are facts. I need somebody, anybody, to ask the question. Thank you for your ongoing work and partnership regarding immigrants entering the United States via the southwest border. This is not my opinion. This is not my opinion. This is real. We've been covering this for a long time. It's in particular, we, the mayors of Chicago, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, and New York City, right to share our appreciation for the supplemental appropriation you have proposed to help our communities navigate the support of new arrivals, in particular, for this particular level, the $1.4 billion identified for food, shelter, and services are much needed. From the City and County of Denver, Office of the Mayor, Mike Johnston. All of them sign it at the bottom. Brandon Johnson, Mike Johnston, Karen Bass, Sylvester Turner, who was the Houston mayor, and Eric Adams. What are we talking about, y'all? The evidence is here. The letters are outlined. Why is nobody calling? We have spent an estimated, for these migrants in particular, $42 billion, and that's not including city services, free hotel stays, police, education, Medicare. Nothing. We have spent billions, not including the services that the taxpayers are paying for that they then get to take advantage of. And it's signed by every single liberal major city mayor right here. What are we talking about?
Refusing to rent to people, rent to black families, whether it is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling for their execution.
What?
Whether it is referring to the first black president of the United States with a lie, birther lies. And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe want better than this. I do believe that. I know, the vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know.
Oh my God. This can't be a real thing. This is insane, man. This is amazing. Amazing. This can't be real. This cannot be a real. This has to be a simulation. This has to be a simulation. Has to be.
I love our country with all my heart. Everywhere I go, and everyone I meet, I see a nation that is ready to move forward, ready for the next step in the incredible journey that is America. I see an America where we hold fast to the fearless belief that built our nation and inspired the world. That here, in this country, anything is possible. That nothing is out of reach. An America where we care for one another, look out for one another, and recognize that we have so much more in common than what separates us.
I'm sorry, say that one more time for us, Cam.
Look out for one another and recognize that we have so much more in common than what separates us.
Interesting.
Vast majority of that. I know. The vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that. I know that regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to stop. And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting and it's harmful. And it's hateful. And grounded in some age-old stuff that we should.
If she talk long enough, you'll forget the question. The question was migrants, illegal immigration, Springfield, Ohio.
Not have the tolerance for. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
Madam Vice President, I'm switching gears again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris. Giving back says Diddy, a.k.a. Puff Cosby. Shout out to you. I appreciate you giving back. Can't Knock the Hustle says, is it 1,000 bottles of baby oil or 1,000 bottles of liquid crack being pushed like the guy Jonathan Odie said? A.R. Smitty says, the slur is strong with this one. It's a lot of people hitting the dislike because they don't like the fact that I just called Kamala Harris out. Let's see what we got here. Mars says she sounds like a drunk wino in the 70s. KDX 8300 says check out the heels on the guy with the... Pookie's friend Ray Ray says I don't think Kamala wants to run for president, but she feels pressured by sisters. What does Picture Day have to do with... Talk about it, bro. Levi Apparel says, hello, Anton and Bag Chaser. Success times 2. Take that. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, if you want to come kick it with me in person, live show, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. For the Let's Rant About It show, discount code Anton. Discount code Anton. I'm coming to Atlanta in November. And then December, we're going to do it in Detroit. Please get your tickets early because I guarantee you that you are not going to have a spot. Shout out to Levi Apparel. Ardilla Squirrel 88 says Kamala is playing to her female audience. It's all about feelings with no facts at all. Gary S says the look on your face when she says it's school photo day was priceless is wild, bro. 86 Train says it was school photo day. Though the more I hear her avoid these questions, the more certain I'm not voting for her. Salute, Chef Ton. Keep cooking, bro. I'm on it. B2E or BZE says, I hate when black people talk about reparations. Let's say we do get it, then what? They still won't work after and still will complain. Black people go to work, stop crying, and join the bag chasers. Come get this money. Eric M says, there ain't no way she not under the influence. I refuse to accept no for an answer. She doesn't want to be there or running for president. BKMS says, I figured Kamala out. She says words and lengthens her sentences, boring you half to death. By the time she's done, you have forgotten what the question was and therefore need to move on. I can't stand it. Shout out to you, my friend. I appreciate you. Large Paul says, Diddy woke up this morning, looked at Rikers Island breakfast tray and went, dang. Ardilla Squirrel in the building says, you expect a woman that doesn't understand that her boss is incoherent to make coherent statements? I don't, Ardilla, at all. Robin Edwards says, shout out to you. I appreciate you. Alvin S says, Cam looks like a hungover alcoholic who didn't study for the verbal exam. So she talks in circles and never answers questions. Feet Funkerson says, I still need Trump to change up those laws the VA uses to deny veterans their rightful benefits. I also need him to leave telework intact for Fed employees. All of us aren't part of the problem. Well, he's not even in office right now. Anton, there's no purpose of getting yourself burdened by what has been. Unburdened, just reflect on the picture days and your neighbor's lawn. And what we have in common, because this will all pay for itself. You summarize everything that she's been saying in one sentence. Divine Robertson says, seriously, I think my IQ drops just a few points listening to her. You and I both. Levi Apparel says, Anton, she need to watch. She need watch and string and say, vote me. Executive Suite Emily says, Anton, this lady is up on that stage sounding like she's drunk off a bathtub gin or 22 ounces of St. Ives. This is embarrassing. Drunk auntie status. Music Wins 3022 says, Anton says, Lord, if I had my hair on my head, I'd rip it out. Hell, why ear chest in public for extra measure? Shelly O says, Kamala is literally playing in America's face. Thank you, Shelly. I appreciate you, baby. Turtle Island says Bill Cosby was innocent. I don't care what y'all say. Mark, The Guardian, says, so are you going to give Springfield federal help? Why? They created the problem that y'all asking them to solve for now? Confusion and delusion is how they do it. All right, shout out to What in the World TV. Shout out to everybody that supports the platform. I appreciate y'all. Let's continue over. So Trump had an opportunity to be able to talk with Sean Hannity about the recent assassination and the security failures and why he's been begging for more federal help and more protection. I don't think he's going to get it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
All right, joining us now on the phone to react to the most recent assassination attempt on his life, in 2 months, former President Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you for being with us tonight. This is the second assassination attempt in 2 months. I would imagine the average person could be pretty shaken up by that. Tell us what happened. How are you doing? And I have a few other follow-up questions as it relates to this.
Well, I'm doing fine. It was Sunday, and just very briefly, because I think most people have heard it, I want to start talking about the borders and the economy and inflation and all of the things we want to talk about. But it was on a golf course, Trump International in West Palm, and we heard shots ring out around the fifth hole or so. We heard shots ring out, and they were pretty obviously shots, but the Secret Service said they were definitely shots. And it turned out to be the Secret Service agent who had caught somebody a couple of holes in advance and caught him by the fence, which protects the property. He was on the other side of the fence. He saw a gun barrel hanging outside of the fence, which is pretty amazing. That's a great job. Did really a great job. Frankly, I think the Secret Service did a great job. And they got me out of there quickly. And they then went after him, and they were lucky enough to have somebody that took the license plate, which was genius. And they nabbed him on the highway. But it was another day. It was very interesting. We want to get to business. We want to get to the business of running the country. Our country has never done this badly, Sean. We're like a laughing stock all over the world, and we have to get back to running the border properly. What's happening in Ohio, Colorado, and every other state is just...
He can actually speak coherently instead of talking about his neighbor's lawns or picture day. Thank you, Trump.
It's crazy. It's like a takeover of our country by people that are coming in, and they're coming in with guns, or they're getting guns after they get in. They have the most powerful weapons you can have.
Let me ask you this, sir, if you don't mind. And Steve Witkoff, your golf partner, he happens to be a mutual friend of ours, and I'd gone to lunch with him that morning. He described in great specificity the incredible reaction time, heroism of these Secret Service agents that were surrounding you that day and how quickly they got on top of you, got you out of the situation. A flawless operation in terms of those agents, and they deserve so much credit for what they do that they would risk their lives. No greater love had some man to lay down their life for another, and they're willing to do that for you. And that part of the story, I mean, the fact that this country has such incredible people is a great story. But here's what troubles me. In Butler, PA, we had a sniper who was able to get on a roof within 130 yards and come within a millimeter of taking your life. In this situation, it is a well-known area that is treed, as you pointed out, with a fence on it. And this guy, according to reports, might have been there for 12 hours, or his phone pinged in the area for 12 hours ahead of time, 1:30 in the morning. And so obviously there was some type of coordinated planned attack or anticipation you'd be playing golf or something happened. But the problem is he got within 300 yards of you with an AK-47 with a scope. Now, what I don't understand, and Eric, your son, doesn't understand, and Laura doesn't understand, and many of your family members don't understand, is when you have a treat area that is known for paparazzi taking videos and pictures of you when you're playing golf, because that's the only area on the golf course they would ever have the ability to do that. Why wasn't that area swept? Why weren't there agents on the outside making sure nobody would go in the bushes? Why weren't the bushes checked? To me, that is a colossal failure. And that concerns not just me, but every one of your supporters and every one of your family members, sir.
He's right.
Well, I understand that. And in this particular case, you had a very sharp agent, as good as you could find, and did a fantastic job. But somebody could have missed the barrel of that rifle. Somebody of lesser talents or somebody that was distracted could have missed or could have been shot. I mean, frankly, could have also been shot. But in this case, it was something that worked out very well. As to whether or not they should know this 2 days in advance, I can't say. I just said, let's go play a quick round because it's all business for me. It's a little bit of a form of exercise. So I like it. It's something that is good, but it's also, Sean, very important that you be able to go and do what you want in safety. I just find the Secret Service. Now, Butler's a very different story. Somebody should have been on that building, and that's a different story. But they also showed great. They were very brave because when those bullets were flying, they were
diving
trying
on
to
you.
Protect me.
But
they were
think,
literally.
But don't you think a treed area leading into a fence 300 plus yards away from you, that area, as a matter of standard operating procedure, would need to be swept, and we would need to have eyes on it to make sure that nobody, be it paparazzi or in this case a would-be assassin,
he's not trying to throw nobody under the bus,
to being close to you with an AK-47 with a scope. Your sons can tell you, because they're both excellent marksmen, Don Jr. and Eric, that is the equivalent of a 1-foot putt, if you want to use a golf analogy. And so we have 2 incidents in 2 months where people with rifles and scopes get within 130 and 300 plus yards of you, which would be an easy shot for even a marginal shooter. And that, to me, and we heard the head of the Secret Service, praising his organization and saying this is a great success. The fact that they didn't cover that area, to me, is a great failure. And I understand your reluctance to be critical, but I'm very critical of it. And I just feel like, there's got to be an evaluation here immediately. Has your campaign ever been denied resources that you requested from the Secret Service?
Well, that's the big thing. We have long requested more people, more men and women, but more people. And because, we have rallies, 50, 60,000. In New Jersey, we had 107,000 people show up. There's never been anything like it. And we have long requested more people. That's true. That's the weakness. If there's a weakness, I really think that's the weakness. You still need the power of the people. We have to, you could say the manpower and the woman power to get in there and look, we don't have, or we haven't had. Now, I understand they're going to be doing this, but you could have somebody who's a president who doesn't have a lot of people watching, and it's a lot easier, and, it's a lot easier situation than it is for me. We have tremendous rallies and crowds, and that's a good thing, but you need more protection. And we've long requested more people. We have, I will say, in Butler, we wanted more people. I heard them say it. We need more people here for security. And we never seem to get that. And I think we are getting it now. Somebody told me that they will be providing more people now.
So so what you're telling me is that it took at least 2 assassination attempts in order for them to adequately staff Trump's protection. Tim Walz got more protection than the former president of the United States of America that's currently running for the president of the United States of America. And see, he's pretty reluctant to criticize it, and I understand it, because you can't criticize the same people that's supposed to be protecting you. There's no reason why we should have these situations come this close to Trump being assassinated again, and we all know why. We all know why. We don't even have to say the quiet part out loud multiple different times. We know why.
Well, I would think now that maybe we can learn the lessons from it. And when I heard the head of the Secret Service saying that this almost was a perfect operation, I'm not buying that. And then praising Alejandro Mayorkas, who has been partly responsible, along with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, allowing in unvetted 11 million plus illegal.
They're the same people, because y'all got to remember that the Secret Service was folded into Homeland Security And so the same staffing and the same people that affords for Trump to have the Secret Service agents are the same ones that's overseeing the border. It's all in the same group.
Immigrants from 180 countries, including countries with terror ties, allowing people with terror ties, known terror ties in the country. We've seen the crimes they've committed, murder, rape, and violent crimes against our citizens. To me, it is it's unconscionable, because all of that is preventable, and it should be, now that voting is starting in Pennsylvania, people need to know and understand all of this. But I think we have a major security failure going around, and you seem to be the number one target for assassination in this country. And as your son said last night, how many lives do you have left? Kat has 9 lives. How many lives does Donald Trump have left? And it's scary for people that care about you.
Well, I never thought of it that way. It's an interesting way of thinking about it. I will say this, what you said on the border is right. We had the safest border in the history of our country when I left office. We had the safest border. In fact, the famous chart that I was turning right, fortunately, to look at showed the lowest, that was made up by the Border Patrol. And it was the best number in terms of drugs, in terms of people, meaning the fewest people. We had it down to an absolute science, and then it became a rocket ship right after that, and it was a shame. But we had a great border situation. It was only going to get better, but we had it down to a real size. We had to remain in Mexico. We had all sorts of things. People couldn't come into our country until they got past it. They'd have to go through really rigorous tests. And it was a great thing, and now it's truly one of the great problems, one of the big problems. No country has been invaded like we've been invaded. If you look at what's going on in Ohio and Colorado and so many states, and a lot of states that don't want to talk about it yet because they're embarrassed by it, but they're being invaded by people from jails and by gang members, and we have people coming in from mental institutions, and we have terrorists coming in at a level that we've never seen before. It's crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever why they aren't closing the border. They can do it with a phone call. You close.
I was muted all that time? Shit. I'm sorry. My bad. Thank y'all for texting me. I'm going to come back. Let me read these super chats again. Shout out to Ocean. Thank y'all for letting me know I was muted. I wasn't paying attention. New to your channel, I'm hearing a lot, hoping I can get some ideas that will help as I move into retirement. Keep the knowledge coming. Thank you, my friend. Lil Black Duck 2001 says there was a pipe bomb found at Nassau Coliseum where Trump is going to be later today. Crazy times. ABJ's Wise, Strong, and Smooth said bomb found at Long Island Trump rally today. Island Stylese says, I'm curious now, why don't either party answer questions? Are they hearing impaired? Are the questions too hard? What's the deal? How can I vote if no one wants to answer the questions that are asked? Patty Jackson in the building says, breaking news, explosives was found by a car by a Trump rally today. Right Insight says, Diddy got more charges than the shooter as of now. Junior says, ADM from NY, and there are reports that Nassau County Police found explosives at Trump's upcoming rally. Would like your thoughts on the matter. I got to substantiate it before I speak on it. There's a third attempt, Anton. I appreciate you. And then What in the World TV, I already read yours. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for letting me know that I was muted and that we didn't find too many situations where I missed out. I didn't say much. I was just reading super chats. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to continue to read those super chats. Let's go over to the next part of the show. At least 9 dead. I'm only going to spend 10 minutes on this. 9 people was dead. No, I think it's 12 as of now. The body count actually rose. 12 as of now. People have died in Lebanon because of a pager explosion. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
This stunning and far-reaching deadly attack across Lebanon, thousands of pagers belonging to Hezbollah militants simultaneously exploding, many of them exploding in the pockets of those carrying them. The explosions killing at least 9 people and wounding thousands. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz reporting from the region tonight.
Tonight, shockwaves and panic across Lebanon after a stunning, unprecedented attack, both widespread and personal. Thousands of pagers belonging to Hezbollah militants exploding simultaneously, leaving at least 2,800 wounded, including civilians, and at least 9 dead, including a child. The wireless devices blowing up in tens, pockets, and here you see a shopping bag. Another security video shows a man reaching for his pocket before it explodes. The scream of ambulances reverberating through cities one after another. Graphic images, which we have blurred, emerging from hospitals, showing fingers blown off, faces badly bloodied, and torsos and thighs ripped apart. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon also injured, but not seriously. Back in February, Hezbollah's leader telling his operatives to get rid of mobile phones, calling them a deadly agent. An intelligence source telling ABC that the Israelis have long been working to perfect what they call a supply chain interdiction attack. Former State Department official Steve Ganyard explains how that might work.
The Israelis likely saw an opportunity, bought up thousands of pagers, took them apart, inserted explosives, and then put them back on the market to sell directly to Hezbollah. And then using the radio frequencies that normally bring data into that pager, they simultaneously detonated all of the pagers.
Israel has.
That's insane. Okay, first of all, I didn't even know that pagers was still in existence for anybody outside of doctors. If I'm a doctor or one of the people that need a pager, because I know that like surgeons still have pagers and stuff like that, I'm getting rid of my junk immediately. I'm 100% getting rid of it. Hey, listen, I know we got pagers. Let's switch over to the iPhone. Anybody that still the only people that I know of that still get paged are like surgeons and doctors. All right, that's number one. Number two, to meticulously order thousands of pagers, take them apart. As they say, over 2,800 people are injured, at least 12 people are dead. To meticulously take thousands and thousands and thousands of pagers, take them apart, wire them with explosives, put them back on the market, sell them out there to the people. That is something that you would see on a Batman movie. Honestly, that is something that you usually see on a Batman movie.
Has not claimed responsibility and has not commented, but tonight Lebanon's Council of Ministers calling the attack criminal Israeli aggression on a sovereign country, and Hezbollah warning that a response is coming. The targeted explosions followed warnings from Israeli leaders that they might ramp up the military campaign against Hezbollah after months of tension on the border and a regular exchange of missiles and rockets. U.S. officials believe there will be a response by Hezbollah, but it may take some time. Hezbollah has not only lost a principal way it communicates, but had operatives killed and hundreds, if not thousands, of wounded operatives put out of commission for weeks, if not months to come. David?
And killed their ability to be able to communicate, because I'm assuming that one of the reasons that they had pagers in existence, it's not just as a communication tool, but probably the most secure communication tool, because even in the mob movies, they would use pagers, but they would still run all the way over to the payphone because they didn't trust. Dang, this is crazy. Let me see if I can get it from another angle real quick.
Breaking news out of the Middle East, the fallout, the reaction, it continues on this unprecedented attack on the
No. They said over 2,800 people were wounded. At least 12 people so far is dead, probably more.
Group Hezbollah, an attack using explosive devices placed in pagers. According to Lebanon's health minister, at least 12 people are dead this morning, including children who are apparently close to these devices, and thousands of fighters, members of Hezbollah, are injured today. Hezbollah blames Israel and is vowing revenge. It's raising new fears of a wider conflict in that region and continued violence throughout the Middle East. Chris Livesay has the latest now for us from Tel Aviv. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. Well, Hezbollah is clearly reeling from that unlikely attack. And while Israel has not claimed responsibility, it is nonetheless bracing for retaliation.
In a region defined by brazen attacks, this one was unlike any other. Pagers in the pockets.
Look at how deadly that junk is. A small little device that's probably not even as big as this did that much damage.
And vehicles of Hezbollah militants exploding simultaneously in streets and grocery stores, all the way to the Iranian ambassador in Lebanon, who escaped with minor injuries. Throngs more flooded hospitals with severed limbs and bloodied faces. But the most stinging blow is psychological and operational.
What it is devastating to is their confidence in their ability to securely communicate, and just the entire structure of how they supply themselves with weapons, communications tools, and all the other materials.
The one thing about a demon is that you don't think the same way that they think. Like, I don't know if y'all ever really had a conversation with like some really evil criminal people, or y'all even watched the series Mind Hunters on Netflix. But those type of people, they don't think like a normal person. We're so used to being a normal, empathy, are we gonna joke on you, whatever. We think bad. I can't believe you, Anton. There's people in my chat all the time. I can't believe y'all, Anton. You joking on somebody that went through a freak off with Diddy. Oh my God, he need to get life in prison. Bro, you don't think the way that a person that is a criminal think. Criminals think their mind is working 24 hours a day trying to come up with stuff that you just take for granted every day. You get in your car, you start it up, you expect for it to come on. If you to go back your way, it's people that live in other countries. They don't know if they get in that car, if that car is going to blow up. They walking around with a pager. Next thing you know, they ain't got no hip no more. Criminals think different. People that are looking to do evil, you can't. We take our freedoms for granted over here in the United States of America, but they think differently over there.
Material that go into maintaining a military force.
The vexing question for Hezbollah, how? Initial reports suggest the beepers were tampered with before they were imported into Lebanon, booby-trapped with as little as 1 or 2 ounces of high explosives. American officials have pointed to a Taiwanese company as the supplier. That supplier says the beepers were made by a licensing partner based in Hungary. Several months ago, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah told his men to get rid of their...
Oh, we need everything made in the United States of America. I don't trust nothing. Everything need to be made in the U.S. Y'all keep so busy trying to pay for cheap
smartphones to evade Israeli tracking. Backed by Iran, Hezbollah has been exchanging fire with Israel for nearly a year, forcing tens of thousands of Israelis to flee their homes on the country's northern border. Israel has vowed to end the fighting, and if necessary, through force. Seema Shine is ex-head of research at Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence agency.
It's a warning. It could be also, of course, if Israel did it, it has to take into account that Hezbollah will retaliate, and we are escalating to a kind of a war. Short, long, I don't know, but a war.
This morning, Hezbollah issued a statement saying Israel should expect retaliation, but taken by surprise as they were, Hezbollah must also be weighing if there are more security breaches that have yet to be exploited. Tony?
Now you got to wonder what next. Chris lives.
Don't take your freedoms that you have here in the United States of America for granted. It's people every single day. Every day, they live with this fear. They live with this terror. I just can't imagine walking around with a beeper and then your hip explode. I just got that hip replaced. Then your hip started exploding. So, yeah, man, we don't want to be involved in none of this other stuff. So let me read a couple of the super chats, and then I'm going to get over into the last part of the show. The Gray Way says, all we heard was the ping sound. I apologize for that. I'll make that adjustment. Black Tony says, we don't hear nothing. Swai Jones says, salute, big dog. I say you're representing us on Fox. Well, my brother, you was cooking and appreciate you being authentic. Blessings to the homies. Shout out to Swai. I appreciate y'all. And thank you to everybody that checked me out on Fox last night. So Israel is at war with 3+ countries now. Shout out to Tridish Kushranada. All right, y'all. Last but not least, something a little more interesting. Chicago. Y'all thought I forgot about y'all, didn't y'all, Chicago? I didn't forget about you. I didn't forget you. I didn't forget my babies over in Chicago. There's women that are fleeing and residents that are being caught up in a gang war in Chicago. Make sure I hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
Tonight, we are listening to neighbors in Irving Park who say they keep hearing gunshots right outside their doors.
And now police tell us it's because this area is in the middle of a gang war.
It's happening near the intersection of Spalding and Berteau.
Our Jermont Terry caught up with neighbors and police leaders tonight. He joins us now. What are they saying, Jermont?
Joe and Erica, they're fed up and looking for answers. People living in the Irving Park community say they are tired of waking up to gunshots. And tonight, officers here at the 17th Police District, confirmed that these shootings are gang related, leaving these homeowners right in the crossfire. Check out this image. It shows where a bullet damaged a car parked in Irving Park just last week.
Shootings happen right over there, countless times.
Jeff Zawijak is tired of keeping track of the number of times gunfire either wakes him up or worse, forces him to take cover.
My concern when I started work from home was really like grass and taxes.
Dog don't even want to work from home no more. Hey, his concern working from home was grass and taxes. He wasn't expecting to be worried about gunfire and bullets. I remember when I first moved out of the hood, I don't even remember how old I was. I was like in my 20s. I stayed in the same house. Until my 20s. I grew up in the same house on the same block on Green Lawn between Norfolk and Chippewa, between 7 Mile and 8 Mile. Born and raised in that house. Born in Sinai Hospital, which wound up closing. That was on Outer Drive. And I had never known anything else except for sirens and gunshots. And it became so normal that was just a part of the way that we lived. And I would assume that that's how people in foreign countries live, people in third world countries. Like, not bad like that, right? Not as bad as being in a third world country, but to be normalizing that level of toxicity and that lifestyle. I had never experienced anything. My first experience was something different than what I had been seeing inside of the neighborhoods and stuff like that, was going to private school. The first time that I went to private school in middle school, when I got invited to a little party, and the party wound up being at some girl's mega mansion. He wound up being one of the richest guys at the time inside of Michigan. And I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like this before. It was one of the wildest things I had ever seen in my entire life. And then later in my early 20s, when I wound up moving out of the hood, because I had wound up getting carjacked, and I moved out of the hood, and the first night that I spent the night, I couldn't sleep. Because all I was hearing was crickets, and it was too quiet. Everything was closed, because in the city, it's always something open. It's a Coney Island down the street. Street lights is always on. You've seen all of that stuff. And so everything had been closed. Like all of the stuff, even the gas stations, there was nothing open. And because we had been moving all day. And so I was like, hey man, we got to go and get something to eat. It's late at night. I'm so used to going to Coney Island. Nothing was open. It was pitch black outside. Nothing was open, and I could not sleep. I couldn't sleep for like 2 weeks straight. I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks straight because I had to readapt to the thing that I had been used to dealing and having all of that stuff inside of the hood. It was so crazy because when I went back to the neighborhood one time, or when I had stayed in the city, and I was hearing and I was seeing things that I had became used to, but that I had adapted away from. I looked at the house. The house looked so much smaller. I couldn't go back. I couldn't unsee it. I was like, you know what? Never again. I can't even believe that we was able to survive in this type of neighborhood, in this type of environment. So him with his American flag and his manicured lawn, he probably experiencing some level of trauma right now in Chicago.
Now with shootings, I mean, I don't know what to do.
He has lived in the area of Spalding, Alberto for 7 years, but within the last year, he's done something more than ever before.
My frequency to call 911 has increased.
That's because gunshots keep ringing out.
No matter, they ain't got no
day
police
and
officers.
night.
July 30th, July 31st, 2 days in a row, right there. After that, September 11th, shootings, all cars being
Don't worry about it, you'll get used to it,
blown
big
out.
dog.
And then a shooting yesterday.
No, I think it's gang violence. There's something going on.
Tuesday night, officers from CPD's 17th Police District told neighbors at a CAPS meeting gangs are to blame for this uptick. Hearing the confirmation that they suspect
hold on. I
that
thought
this is
that,
gangs, what does this do overall for the neighbors?
I thought that Chicago was safer. I thought that y'all said Chicago was safe. That they told us, Chicago, New York, all of these cities, even though 80-something-year-old women is getting punched in the face, that it's an uptick in gang violence in neighborhoods that usually didn't even experience it. They told us that it was safer and crime was down. Is it crime reporting that's down because they have a shortage of 2,000 plus police officers? They told us that it was safer. That's what they keep telling us inside of the news.
I think it makes us all just want a plan of action so we can, take the safety
Ain't got
back
no
for our
money.
neighborhood.
Ain't no action.
Police say they're working on the problem, but neighbors worry the next bullet won't just damage a parked car.
I'm a taxpayer. I just had my taxes doubled last year, and now I've got to deal with this kind of violence.
That's because your people voted for it. Everybody in Chicago, they said we vote blue no matter what. Imagine this. You paying more money than ever before. Your taxes, your property taxes double. Your property taxes double, but your representation as far as the things that you get for your property taxes decrease. And then at the same time, they telling you, hey, crime is down and we got to continue to fund this migrant crisis.
Now, Chicago police, they're planning to do a roll call in that community sometime in the coming weeks. The message, really send a message to the gangs that they are not wanted. Neighbors say anything.
Hey, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to roll through. We're going to do a roll call in your neighborhood. And we want to send a message to the gangs that they are not wanted in this community.
Is better than nothing, but action is needed. Reporting outside the 17th Police District tonight, Jermot Terry, CBS News.
I lost everything up here to gun violence. I lost my niece. I lost my son's father. I have nothing left up here. I'm not going to lose my life for my son's life.
Samara Harmon says Chicago has taken everything from her that she held close to her heart.
Okay, I got my baby. Please don't hurt. Please don't hurt.
Earlier this month in broad daylight on the 7300 block of South Wabash and Grand Crossing, Samara and her 10-year-old son found themselves face to face with danger, a robber.
Hey, that is in the broad daylight. The sun is at its peak in a manicured neighborhood on a one-way street. How can you tell that it's a one-way street? Because everybody is parked on both sides of the street. It's a one-way street. She is pushing a baby stroller and she is getting robbed in broad daylight.
Gun cocked, ready to pull the trigger. He got away with $1,700. The mom of two was using that money to move. And that's when he fled from the scene. And now she's fleeing the city.
Why does she have $1,700 on her?
Hoping to rebuild a better life far from where it all fell apart.
Completely starting over with my kids. My son's going to go to college. He's going to get a degree.
Harmon doesn't want anyone to know exactly where she's going, but it is out of state.
He cocked the gun. He was not successful.
Pastor Leonard Smith heard her story and held a virtual fundraiser as Harmon leaves Chicago with just a few suitcases.
This is just a caring mother who's doing what she can on her own with a job really not even really full time. So it was just something that, had me to a point where I had to do something to help her.
Harmon has an apartment but still doesn't have justice. Chicago police had her to go through a lineup, but she couldn't positively identify the suspect.
I don't want to put an innocent man in jail.
Still haunted by what he witnessed, Harmon's son will continue therapy. He admits he's constantly looking over his shoulder, but holds on to the hope that justice is just around the corner.
He gonna be in jail.
You ain't got to worry about it, little homie. You know why? You ain't got to worry about it, little dog. You know why? Father killed, niece killed, everybody around her is dead, and she just got robbed. She is a single mother now with 2 little kids. But they keep telling you that it's safe in your communities to raise your kid. Don't worry about it. We got a migrant crisis coming in. We're going to fix it that way. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats or these cash apps and continue to get y'all up out of here. Y'all be careful out in these streets, man. Ladies, be careful. It's not safe out here. Shout out to my dog, 5 Brown, in the building. I appreciate you, big dog. Chatford Morris says, AD, been looking at older videos, the wedding and a trip to your child home between 34 years old and the first morning show during that growth. What made you come out more as far as who you are now? I've always been this way. I had to, I'll say this. When I retired in 2019, at the end of 2019, before taking this position in corporate America, I retired in 2019, but I was very careful, like I always try to tell y'all, I was very careful about not saying anything online or not doing anything online or not starting any additional channels so where I could really, really conversate with y'all the way that I wanted to and really have these conversations in truth. Once I retired in 2019 and it wound up being right before the pandemic, I just think it's God's timing. That's when I really started to embrace and started to go into being a little bit more forthcoming. I started spending more money. I started showing the money because now I was retired. It didn't matter. I had my own businesses. Everything was good. I had sold a couple of businesses. And so I had resigned myself. Listen, I'm going to just go to Pistons games. I'm going to have some fun. And now I'm going to really, really start to talk about my stuff. But I was always going to embrace this social media culture and really being able to communicate with y'all the way that I was supposed to. I felt like that was my purpose. So I just started being a lot more open with my thoughts and sharing with y'all what I really thought now that I was past fumbling the bag in corporate America. You see what I'm saying? So that's really what it is. That's why I started really getting into it and telling y'all what my thoughts are. Shout out to Dylan KO. I appreciate you on Cash App. And Oskeen 2 Beans says, thank you for everything. Soon we'll have more. Shout out to you, big dog. If y'all have not already, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. And come and kick it with your boy and come to the live show in Atlanta on November 2nd and then Detroit December 14th. And we're going to kick it. Put discount code Anton in order to get money off your tickets. And then we're going to be talking about that inside of the Bag Chasers. All right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry for being muted part of the show. I have to go and get ready to go to the doctor. I think I'm going to drop that footage of the street interviews that I did tonight so y'all can look forward to that. All right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all take care of each other. And I'm going to holler at y'all later. Deuces.